Welcome to the 611 Films YouTube channel. We're back in 99. We're talking about The Hurricane.
My man.
I'm David Groves. This is one of your hosts. I'm with, as always, Neil McKay.
We got a little Denzel today.
Denzel Washington. Right before he actually won the Oscar with Training Day.
Didn't know you like to get wet, though. What's wet? Butt naked.
He was in this, and he was nominated for this movie.
He was nominated with Russell Crowe, who we just did on The Insider.
On The Insider.
And Kevin Spacey, who we've already done on American Beauty. And neither one of us had seen it until recently, actually.
Yeah.
My impression of it was that this is why I didn't see it, because it struck me at the time. Like, I thought it was going to be good. And then I heard kind of reviews that were like, and then I was like, oh, this is like that Oscar bait thing. And it was not, did you kind of feel the same way? Or,
I mean, again, it's based on the real story of Reuben Carter, the hurricane, and all that. Everything about the opening sequences, I was like, are they trying to just kind of like capitalize a little bit on like Shawshank? I mean, you got Clancy Brown, who's playing, a warden or a cop in the thing, and they're kind of jumping around about a murder that happens. And again, not to take away from the hurricane, because it was great. I really liked it. I thought it was really cool. I don't love the structure for the first like bit. It was a weird structure. But I thought Denzel, obviously, great performance. Everything was done really well. But again, it just screamed like we're trying to do an Oscar, and we're kind of trying to do that Shawshank thing of you're in here for this long and try to get out and that type of thing.
It's a great story. I will say that, like the Reuben Carter and being, I mean, he was tried like 3 times. Finally, the third time, like he got like, and it was like a federal trial. I mean, the whole thing is just unbelievable. It was just like police corruption and just bad. I mean, it was just, and this guy just fought to get out of jail. And anyway, great story, but like the adaptation just felt a little bit like sugary, like feel good, like schlocky, kind of like, I don't know, like just like the family that comes in to help him. It just felt like kind of like, come on, this is not reality. This just feels a little bit too Hallmarky, like.
I think there was stuff about his, like they open up with the thing of, based on certain people, but we've kind of changed stuff. Every movie that does, kind of an autobiography has that, stories have been changed, names have been changed, this or that. And it's like, okay, for dramatic effect. But yeah, you're right. I mean, like in that sugary set, and that's kind of where I'm going with, as far as like, they start with the fighting stuff a little bit, and then they jump to the kid that's reading his book, but then they jump to him writing the book, and then they jump to the, like, for the first 45 minutes, it's just all over the place. And I'm like,
it was, yeah. I was a little bit.
Guys, I can keep up, but at the same time, like, why? What's the structure here? Why are you doing it this way?
It didn't really, honestly, like it didn't really feel like it found its identity until like the second half. And then I was like, oh, okay. He inspired this kid. This kid's going to be a lawyer. This kid in the family, the adoptive family, are going to come help him. And then it's this like, let's build a court case. That felt like very more like it had a, okay, we know we have an identity. We know where we're going. The first half, I agree with you. It was just kind of like, what, huh? What's happening? Is this a boxing movie? Is this a jail movie? Is this what is this? What's going on?
We don't know exactly, like, because and they're showing scenes that have happened before, and they're doing stuff where it's like, okay, we're going to show it in a different angle, but we didn't really need that. I mean, the movie is a little over 2 hours, maybe 2 hours, 20 minutes, but it's like you could have played that a bit more straight, or started with the murder and then gone backwards, and we could have gotten that from like bouncing around from his life to the kid.
Yeah,
I guess, I don't know. I mean, it's a tricky thing since it's based on that true story. I guess I give them a little like Norman Jewison, who directed the movie, who actually just passed away back in January.
I was gonna say, yeah. I was looking him up to
yeah.
see what he had done, and I was like, oh crap, he just died.
Yeah.
Last year, I think, or earlier this year or something.
Yeah, and not a Jewish person who I thought, obviously, I mean, not to say I'm Jewish as well, but Jewish and Norman, you kind of at that. And
It would make sense,
on the
yeah.
roof, but he's a
Yeah.
Protestant and he was from Canada and all that. But he did.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Just assumed, like, but okay, yeah, it makes sense.
I assumed it as well. Again, who knows? But so yeah, but off his backstory, he did Fiddler on the Roof. He did In the Heat of the Night back in the 60s, Moonstruck, and this was kind of, I guess, his last.
Are you sure about that? And did he do in the Heat of the Night?
Yeah, he did. That was his first movie. He had a lot of liberal, progressive leanings. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, with those things. I didn't know anything with like.
Yeah, I think
weird,
I think when you said I think that was one of the things that they said was historically accurate, was it wasn't as quite race driven as this story made it seem. Like everything was about race in this movie, and it was like, was that really the case? Like in the real. Yeah, and there was some like historical things that were like, they took some liberties for sure.
And look, I'm not taking away from Reuben Carter's story or anything like that, but as a movie, of course, they want that high end ending. They want that.
Yeah, I mean,
thing.
It was they were going for the whole feel good Shawshank Redemption. We're going to win an Oscar kind of thing. And I mean, and I'm glad Denzel, because I've actually heard people say that he wasn't as deserving for Training Day. But to me, like, he stole the show in that movie. He was electric. He deserved to win for that. This was like, I mean, don't get me wrong, he was great in this, but this just felt like very, Denzel, you knocked this out of the park. This is easy. This wasn't like, oh my God, Denzel. Like, this isn't a movie like I remember him for, you know? Whereas like Training Day, you remember Denzel, you know? So, or
at least like, yeah, you can see it. And he's putting everything he can, even in his jail cells. And they had that one scene where he was talk to himself and different versions of himself, like in solitary. Like, yeah, you're giving him as best you can to get Denzel that Oscar nomination.
Give him the, come on, man.
All right, guys, thanks so much for listening, watching this episode of Back in 99. We'll see you guys on the next one. Later.